PhD thesis looks at the acquisition of sociolinguistic competence in a Welsh immersion context, that is, the ability of Welsh pupils to vary the way that they talk depending on the situation that they're in. Now, because of COVID, my data collection, which involved going into schools, was brought to a halt. So instead, I've run a little pilot project, which I'm going to share with you today. A bit of context first. Research on the sociolinguistic competence of French immersion pupils in Canada has found that pupils there who are only really exposed to French through school tend to use more formal features of French, even in informal settings. In Welsh immersion schools, pupils can be exposed to Welsh at home, in the community, but also at school. And pupils from Welsh-speaking homes are taught alongside in the same classrooms as pupils from non-Welsh-speaking homes. And very little is known about how Welsh immersion pupils acquire sociolinguistic competence. So from a policy perspective, it's increasingly important as well to understand the types of Welsh that are spoken day to day, with a lot of work in policy at the moment trying to encourage the use of Welsh outside of school contexts. So my aim is to examine pupils' use of different morphosyntactic features across a range of different settings or registers in order to look at variation according to context, with a particular focus on the effect of home language on variation. Which brings me to my first morphosyntactic feature that I'll be looking at in my pilot. Anyone learning Welsh through Duolingo might have spotted that there's more than one way of saying that we own something, or that we possess something in Welsh. In the examples here, both a moron and a moron nhw are correct translations of that age-old English phrase, they're carrots. Davis categorizes 3 different types of variants, the literary, the sandwich, and the colloquial, and it's my aim to find out whether the use of these types is influenced by the context within which they're used, that is, informal or formal contexts. So for my pilot, I recruited 2 Welsh speakers to record themselves speaking Welsh over a number of weeks in different settings, and the registers for each of these speakers was different because they represented the life worlds of the participants. So Llion recorded himself in 4 registers. I've categorized them along the x-axis from A to D, with the register of the setting becoming more formal. Overall, he favored the colloquial type, but we can observe an expected trend, that is, that the use of the literary form increases as the situation or the setting becomes more formal. Sian recorded herself in 3 registers, none of which are as formal as Llion's. Interestingly, we can see that Sian bucks the trend that we saw before and produced a great deal of literary possessive constructions in the most informal setting, that is, drinks with friends. So, though the different registers of each participant are not directly comparable, initial findings from the pilot show that the use of the possessive type is likely to be context dependent for some speakers, but there may be other constraints at play for others. So I'd welcome any thoughts you might have on other linguistic factors that I could consider in the full study of the PhD, where pupils will be recorded across 3 comparable settings. Diolch yn fawr.